Okay, so now we're going to use our prior knowledge of the product rule to be able to differentiate these and find these derivatives and then the stationary point. So just relying on some prior knowledge. So you can see why we need to apply the product rule. We've got one function here being multiplied by another function. So if we call this first function u, and we know that u dash is just the derivative of this, which is 3x squared. And our second function is v, which is e to the x, and we know that the derivative of that is just e to the x. And you'll remember our product rule, u dash v plus v dash u. So substituting in u dash 3x squared times v, which is e to the x, plus v dash, which is e to the x, times u, which is x cubed. We can take out our highest common factor, which is actually e to the x and x squared. So we could write x squared e to the x, and then in brackets we'll have 3, because we're multiplying all of this by 3 to get our previous term, plus, if we take out an x squared here, you can see we'll just have an x times e to the x. So that's the first part, find the derivative. Now we need to find the stationary point. Remember, to do that we solve the first derivative equal to 0. So solve y dash equals 0. So we've got x squared outside of, x squared times e to the x outside of 3 plus x is equal to 0. Now we need to think about what values of x are going to give us our final result of 0. So you can see that we've got, if we put x equals 0, then that will give all of this a result of 0. And then times, if we put in 0 here, we'll still end up with a 0 result. So one of our solutions is when x equals 0. The other will come from solving this binomial here equal to 0. So the value of x we're going to put in here that will give us a final result for this binomial of 0 would be when x equals -3. So can you see that we've got stationary points at x equals 0 and -3. Now let's find our corresponding y values. When x equals 0, we end up with y equals, putting in x equals 0, y will give us 0 as well. And when x equals -3, we end up with, when x is -3, -3 cubed times e to the -3 will give us -27 e to the -3.